In today's video, I'm going to react to the 2019 Carlton Members Forum. So, what happened? It was a 3.5-hour session. We had the CEO, the president, the head of football, head of HR as well, sat around a table, but it was basically like a Reddit session where you send in your questions and the club answer them. And basically what I want to do in this video is have a look at what worked, what didn't, and what we can take away from it and move forward with. So for me, what worked straight off the bat. Now, I've never attended one of these fan forum things ever. I was overseas for the past 3 years, so I missed out on all of this. So for me, it was fantastic in the sense that those who were interstate and those who were overseas were able to log in and see the action. I think so. What worked, I think it was an efficient way to answer as many questions as possible. I heard a lot of the stories about previous years where it was just basically a screaming match, and people would stand up and ask the same questions just in a different way, and it just was inefficient. So, I mean, from the club's point of view, it's like, how can we answer the most questions in a shortest amount of time? So from that point of view, I think that was a tick. The other thing that worked, it's a direct line of communication between us, the fans and the members, and the core administrators of the club. We're talking about 3.5 hours of real fan engagement, which I haven't seen this done in any other code the way it was done last night. I could be wrong. Let me know if you've done this with another football team or other sporting team around the world, but I thought that was something I'd never seen, but that was real, true fan engagement. I think the other thing, all the hard questions that we expected, the ones about sauce that we knew were coming, they answered them first. A lot of people were skeptical about, filtering questions and whatnot and rehearsing answers, but ultimately the sauce questions were all first. The Brandon Ellis touring of the club, they were all happened first. They knocked it on its head and they moved on. Big tick. The answers were given in written form, which is the other point that I think is a massive tick, because previously it's always been hearsay. What do they say about this question? What do they say about that question? Whereas we now have a bank of, I think it's 99 answers, and I've got them all on the Blue Abroad Facebook page. So we now have written confirmation from the direct source as to what the club's position is on X issue and Y issue. And I think that's something that's very valuable that we've probably missed here. It allows the fans to look back. So if anything does happen which relates to the NGA, which relates to Stephen Silvani, which relates to list management strategy, which relates to non-traditional revenue activities, we have the most recent information available in an album ready to refer to if something does change in the future. I think it prevented chaos. The same questions getting asked, people screaming. People have different agendas. Some people don't like the administrators, and they use the members forum as a platform to get their point across by yelling and screaming with their pitchforks and whatnot. And I think ultimately it was a modern approach by the club, who are obviously keen to improve on last year, and they're obviously keen to improve on their fan engagement. And I think it was a overall really big tick. What didn't work? There wasn't a video stream. That would have been nice. I felt that sentiment as well. I didn't know what to expect, but I did think in my mind that it was a webinar where we would be, obviously they'd be hosting, and then we'd be in the audience without having a video, but, firing through the questions. And so I get that, I'd like to see that added maybe next time, maybe they can answer the questions in a live video Q&A like what we do on Blue Abroad, and then have those answers written down as well. There were still questions that were left unanswered. I understand there would have been thousands that were sent in. If you haven't renewed your membership, you didn't get your question put up there. Yeah, there was some that didn't get answered. I spoke to Dan, I spoke to some others. I had a few questions myself that personally didn't get put up there, but they were asked by other people, so it was fine for me. But I understand, yes, some were left unanswered. And the other thing as well, I think, not everyone is willing to explore this shift into a digital fan engagement platform. Not everyone, it might be easy for me to say, just click the link that the club sends you, which takes you right to the forum, and then you press the ask button to ask a question and then wait for a response. But for some people, that's just, they haven't grown up in that environment. Obviously, these are things that they didn't have when they were younger, and so they don't have the experience with clicking links and asking questions in an ask box. So from that point of view, maybe we can look at something that will accommodate those people as well. Overall, I left that session, personally, I left that session feeling such a better connection to the administrators. You know, whether you agree with some of the answers or disagree with some of the answers, you can't argue the fact that they were available and giving us a line of communication, in my opinion. This was 3.5 hours with the president, CEO, and the head of football department at the Carlton Football Club. Like, I don't know where I've seen that anywhere else. I'm very proud, and it was good because I've heard mumblings about how the club want to be better at fan engagement and whatnot. For me, this was action. I probably want to see this happen again during the bye. It doesn't need to be 3.5 hours, but mid-season, have them on for an hour and a half, do the same thing, send a few questions in, and go from there. And I noticed after a couple of hours where the questions were going, and I kind of realized that the Kane Little, the way he was answering, he was talking a lot about how, I got the vibe that we was talking about, we've done our part. We're really appreciative of you displaying that bound by blue attitude. And that's what we've got to do. There are certain issues that the Brandon Ellis issue, the Stephen Suvani issue, that have had media reports by Tom Brown and Sam McClure. Correct me if there's anyone else. The club have given their statement as to what they believe the reason, why Stephen Suvani's contract was not renewed. He wasn't sacked. You either choose to believe Tom Brown and Sam McClure, or you choose to believe the Carlton board. Whatever, there's no right or wrong, whatever you want to do. But I think at the end of the day, they've given the answer. I commend them for continually putting up that sauce question and answering it in as many ways as they could, but really saying the same thing. I feel like we're really led strongly by this CEO, which might be an unpopular opinion, but I really do. There was transparency, and I back in what my club are telling me over what Tom Brown and Sam McClure are telling me ultimately. I think there needs to be a little bit of a shift in mindset with us overall. I mean, for the most part, people put a poll up and 60% were satisfied with it. It's almost as if people are looking for a reason to be outraged, which is very interesting. And I get it, complaining is fun. Blaming someone else for something is fun. It's liberating. It gives you a feeling of, I give you some suggestions of whatnot. And I do it here as well. I mean, I gave suggestions in the last video about what activities we could be doing to improve our fan engagement. So it's fun from that point. I just think we overstep the mark a little bit. I think we forget that we're actually bound together in this. Like, we are Carlton. We're in this together. I have no doubt from what happened last night that the board have the best interest of the club at heart. And I don't think it would work if they didn't. I really don't. So that left me there. And I want to really acknowledge, some certain questions that I saw, because I think that's the important point here. Let's, rather than, nitpick the silly questions and the negativity, why don't we celebrate the positivity? So I think Nathan Kalia, for example, who asked about the NGA program, amazing question. I thought it was fantastic, and you could see the response, the length of response that he got, for example, from Brad Lloyd. It was a good question. It was a challenging question, and he got the answer, and it was a lengthy answer. I mean, there was one here about Brandon Ellis, and it got me thinking, like, the whole rumor about Kane Little bringing Brandon Ellis to the Carlton Football Club without Sauce knowing. So let's just break that down. I don't want to focus on a negative, but let's just break that down. So the Carlton Football Club, the biggest and best football club in the country. Well, we have Icon Park, very much a public space. There's about 150 plus employees that are actually stationed there daily. Stephen Suvani works for the Carlton Football Club, worked for them this year. So let me get this right. Brandon Ellis was brought to the Carlton Football Club for a tour by Kane Little without anyone knowing about it. So what was it, like a group email sent to the staff on Sauce's day off saying, "Don't tell Sauce"? Is that really what we believe happened? Is that, are we, let's just get that clear. Let's be a little logical about things like this. So it's just little things like that. But that's enough of that. There is one more comment that I just got a massive laugh out of, and it was, Theo, what were you thinking, mate? Is it a boys' club? Like, what did you expect the answer to be? Yeah, sorry, Theo, you're onto us, mate. We are a boys' club. Like, things like that. I think we need to be better. Overall it was interesting, but let's celebrate, some of the good questions. I like the question from Giovanni about how we attacked the 3 drafts prior, and we had a look at like what does our salary cap look like after the Jack Martin acquisition. I thought it was a great question. Things like that. I'm not going to get into the pins. It was interesting about the messaging that we had been sold about the journey and whatnot. What can we look forward to there? I really like the questions about, the commercial viability of the club. When are we going to get past the pokies? When, what else are we doing? And I didn't realize how much revenue the Carlton in Business Network was making. And obviously the Carlton College of Sport, how we had doubled our intake from last year. I think, these were fantastic questions, and well done to you guys that asked those questions. So in summary, what I'm going to ask everyone who's watching this video to do, rather than nitpicking on who said the wrong thing, who was negative and who was toxic, write one comment below. And it doesn't matter if you repeat someone else's comment. Tell me one thing that you are grateful for about this football club. Because I think what will happen is it'll start getting the wheels in motion, and we'll start turning to a more of a positive mindset. Because I don't even think this is a club point of view. I think this is a people issue. People are just so worked up and just wanting to be outraged. So what are you grateful for about the Carlton Football Club in 2019? Just one thing. We'll maybe do another one. You can talk about what could be better, but let's be solution-based. Give me one thing that you're grateful for, and we'll go from there. What did you think about the forum? Let me know in the comments below after you've given me one thing you're grateful for, and let's have a chat about it.